we're year one effectively into the great ramming. I'm not.
That's oh my God, that's a great title.
Thank you. I just made that up right now. But anyways, the great ramming's happening right now.
I love it.
How long do you think this can go before RAM prices level out? Because I was looking at it, and MU and Western Digital, which is SSDs, they are up 300% in their stock price. So like, people are obviously pricing in what they think this value is going to be. And it has not looked like it's slowing down at all on the stock market. Is this reflective of what RAM prices will be? Are we going to see a 3x cost? Aren't they already pretty much at that?
As per usual, this is not financial advice,
of
but man, is the stock market predictive of anything these days? I mean, you had a good guess with investing in MU early, which is why you own the office building you're sitting in right now.
Thank you. Thank you.
But it's like
he's leasing, okay, Luke. Don't let him get ahead
I'm
of
smart
himself.
with my money, okay? I lease.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the demand and price is going to be high for a long time. I think that's one of the main things that I meant with my like little intro thing there. Is that I don't think it's just going to randomly come down. I think for the last few years, we've been seeing a general all computer hardware shift towards enterprise. And when you do that and consumer becomes more and more of an afterthought, consumer gear is going to be more price performance expensive for what you're getting. We saw Intel recently talk about this, where they're like, Intel just openly was like, you know what? We've been giving the consumer market like too much attention. We're going to focus more on hyperscalers. We're not interested in that anymore. You're seeing Crucial step out of the market. You're seeing NVIDIA like almost like begrudgingly still talk about GeForce cards. There's like these companies are seeing the bag that is working with enterprise. It was actually, I mean, even for me, like being in the hardware space predominantly, it was fascinating not that long ago to find out that like a lot of these water cooling companies that I thought of as these like scrappy little consumer water cooling brands sold the vast majority of their revenue of products through enterprise doing water cooling for servers and data centers. It's an interesting world, and there's a lot more money in it than like, us like waiting for deals on friggin' Newegg or whatever. It's a totally different thing when you're willing to buy like just some incredible amount of money worth of, like, if I don't know, some of these reservations for even during coin mining, some of these massive operations were buying pallets and pallets and pallets of GPUs, and if they had issues with them, kind of like almost shrugging it off. Whereas consumers, like, you know, if you have an issue with it, there's a Reddit thread with 7,000 upvotes and you're screaming from the mountains and all this kind of stuff. Like, why deal with us annoying low people who lack money when you can deal with the hyperscaler boys with all of the money and less of the problems?
Commish, you gotta listen to me.
Oh no, not one more comment from you. I'm done rebasing your mistakes. You're on junior CSS duty until further notice.
Commish, you can't do this to me.
Keep talking and you'll be doing stored procedures for a month. Now get out of here. Take him with you.
Fun fact, CSS is actually Turing complete.
Merge cop. Merge cop.
Larry, Gary, Tango, Mary. I'm just pulling your request. It looks good to me. You're clear to ship.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Next.
It's an awfully big PR for an intern.
Well, I just bumped some dependencies. It's nothing major.
Hey, can I get a quick stamp on this?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Quick approval.
Oh, not on my watch.
I'm on your diff like a penis on sludge.
Not this again. It's literally just a hex code change. Just approve it.
Just to prove it, squish perf resisting review. Oh, I know you're the tip where I've seen vibe coding, but that ain't it.
I hate Merge Cop. He always makes reviewing take forever. We have CodeRabbit. Oh, come on. I wasn't even merging the prod. It was a hex code change. We have CodeRabbit. We don't need real people reviewing such simple changes. CodeRabbit can do it for us. Our engineers' time is better spent solving problems for customers.
You can try it too at coderabbit.ai.
Next week on Merge Cop.
Now, my plan to merge a dip so big.
You're the Dippler, and I always knew it.
You know, it's funny you should say that because if you have looked at OpenAI's kind of Ouroboros investing, NVIDIA has promised they're going to pay them a progressive amount up to $100 billion. And OpenAI's apparently one of their agreements, I was really confused trying to find out the exact number. And the only number I found was they're going to pay them back 10 gigawatts worth of purchases. And I was like, I don't know what that number means because typically I use USD. I'm not used to whatever this AI money currency is. But a gigawatt, apparently, again, this is ChatGPT. I had to ask, like, what the hell's a gigawatt? What the hell's a gigawatt? And it said 1 nuclear power plant worth of energy. So I was just like, oh my gosh, that's how much they're going to be buying is 10 nuclear power plants. And then I was like, did they make this deal elsewhere? And then apparently with Oracle, their $300 billion will also result in 6 gigawatts of data center or 6 nuclear power. And then I was sitting there like 16 nuclear power. Like that's, first off, that sounds like a metal band. Second off, the United States has 39 total. Like that's like 50% of the entire power grid worth of new nuclear power plants. And I'm probably not even saying nuclear correct.
It's nuclear. Nuclear.
It's nuclear.
Nuclear power. Yeah.
Nuclear.
Yes. Nuclear.
Nuclear.
I don't study any of this stuff. Like, hardware is definitely not my monkeys and not my zoo. I just look at it and go like, look, the worse the hardware is, the better it is for people like me who like to talk about programming performance because it just means you have to be better, right? So I'm fine with like, great. If you have to start programming for a 10-year-old laptop, I'm happy about that. But
yeah, actually, true.
So a typical data center, my understanding is that you're in the like 100 to 200 megawatt range for the data center. Like a typical modern data center, that's what you would be looking at for the total number of megawatts. Whereas AI data centers are like 10x that for power consumption. So when they're building those, they're looking at things like gigawatt or, you know, like up to over 1 gigawatt worth of inflow of power to this data center, right? That's how much it consumes. So when they talk about gigawatts, they're literally talking about like, okay, 10 gigawatts might be 5 data centers or something like that. 5 new data center build-outs worth or something like this, right? If I'm just like ballparking those numbers based on what I've seen. So when you think about that, when they're guaranteeing that kind of purchase, I mean, that's an ungodly number of GPUs, right? You know, think literally 5 data centers or something or more worth of these racks upon racks of NVIDIA Rubin, like, you know, slotted things or whatever, you know, they're on at that point. And so that's just, I mean, I don't know, we'd have to go break out a calculator to even try to figure out what kind of a outlay that is for NVIDIA, but it's massive, right? Like it's a massive amount. Tying that back though to the thing we're actually talking about, which is memory, my understanding was that OpenAI actually signed some kind of nutso deal where they were going to buy up to 900,000 wafers a month of DDR memory.
What's a wafer and how much memory is on a waif?
Not my monkeys, not my zoo. I'm doing my best.
It's classified, Prime. It's classified.
Okay.
And
so you can't know.
Siege, it is.
Yeah.
If you actually want to know the yield per wafer, like they have the number of like bits per wafer. These are things you pay analyst firms to get. And they are constantly moving around because people are trying to increase their yield and so on. A wafer is a piece of silicon. It's circular. You've seen them.
Is that the circular one that we talk about? So they're just buying circles.
Yep.
What do you
they're
do
buying
with the circle?
discs.
You're buying the output of the circles.
Yeah.
Okay. I was about to say, I don't know how to take a circle and turn it into a stick. Like, that's very difficult.
Casey, I've never seen a GPU that's round, so I don't know if I believe this.
Well, there are some. There's people who make wafer scale. They're kind of prototypes, but they make wafer scale
Really?
AI accelerators, and they are circular.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but that's just nutso stuff. I mean,
They're designed after Sam Altman's orb.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's circular.
You can only do it
I think
after scan.
technically, Prime, you're more right. You were trying to make a joke, but you're more right than you think you are. I believe the OpenAI deal is literally for uncut wafers. They have been patterned, but they are uncut, and they are going to be like controlling where that gets shipped to and how it ends up getting stacked and packaged. Was like the last time I read it, they were uncut patterned wafers, not cut and packaged, which is very unusual. I could be wrong
Brian,
about
don't
that's
say it.
my recollection.
No, it sounds like you're right. I didn't actually
I
realize
believe
that.
I am. Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking about a Sam Altman as Scarface right now.
Yep.
Just uncut wafers all over his desk.
So
This.
again, to give a really bad explanation, because I'm the wrong guy to give this explanation, you really want to get like, Dev Patel. Or
what about, like,
what's the guy's
Luke
name
from
for
Live Tech Tips?
Dylan Patel? Dylan Patel from Semi-Analysis or something. You want to get him. He would know, right?
It depends. Yeah, like we're more on the consumer side of things.
Yeah.
Like I don't get way into this too often. I do know that like the difficult part is making the wafer. Like there's somebody online who made their own stick of computer memory using chips they got from somebody else. So it's not crazy surprising that they bought just the wafers. I just thought they would cut to the chase and get them to actually hand them over like functioning sticks. But
well, they're not sticks is the problem, right? Because they are using HBM. So
oh right, yeah. I mean,
what
fair
happens?
enough.
Yeah.
HBM
So like
for us normies.
okay, so this is again
First,
way out of my
Brian,
league.
You
but
and I both have
high-
to guess
high
what HBM
bandwidth
stands
memory.
for.
yeah. So what it is.
Okay.
What it is like if you think about normally how
way
memory
off.
works, right? It's on a stick, and you basically have these the individual DRAM chips that have been fabricated are like on a line of the chip, and then the like the connection is the little pins it slots in, and that's how it's talking to the CPU. So if you think about it, you've got like essentially the CPU is on a package, the DDR is on a package on a little thing. You've got those connections. They go through the PCB, right, your motherboard, and there's like some small number of connections connecting them, right? So there's like traces on the PCB that are going to drive over to those like, places you slot them in. So GDDR, right, which is the graphics DDR, not the kind you slot into your thing, right? So the kind that goes on a GPU is a little bit different. That one is like welded right on, like it's like soldered onto the motherboard and directly connected, and closer. And the reason for that is it's basically the same kind of memory for all intents and purposes, as far as I know, but the signaling is much, much faster. So they drive the data rate up, the total bandwidth, they drive up by increasing the speed at which it can transfer things back and forth. And so it has like basically higher quality physical signaling to get things back and forth. But otherwise, same basic idea as the kind you would slot into your motherboard. Otherwise, not a huge difference beyond that.
Some people
This
were
is why
asking for
those,
visual
like-
representation, and
Okay.
if you look up, if you wiki, I don't know if I can share my screen on this thing, but if you wiki high bandwidth memory, there is a very good photo. If you scroll down to the interface section, that shows how it's like 3D stacked as well. So you can have.
Well, we haven't gotten
multiple-
HBM yet.
Okay.
I have
HBM is
so
totally
many
different than
questions.
both of these. Totally different than these two things. So HBM is completely different from those two things. Completely different. It's the same sort of memory. Like it's still, the idea is still that there's a capacitor and a transistor per cell of memory. Like, so the actual thing you're fabbing is somewhat similar, but it's very different in two very important ways. One, like Luke just said, it's stacked. And in order to stack it, it needs to be manufactured with this sort of different kind of connectivity. It's got these things called TSVs, or through silicon vias. They're like these connections that go through the stacks so that you can kind of like have each stack is talking to the next stack, and they tunnel through, right? So it's wider, right? It's like the actual physical footprint for the same amount of memory is a little bit bigger because it's got to have space for this. The normal DRAM doesn't have to have those, right? Those TSVs. So that's a thing. But the much bigger thing, I mean, although that's obviously a slight difference there, the much bigger thing is the stacking and packaging is just a way harder problem. So first, you have to be able to stack them, and this reduces yield apparently. I don't know the reasons why, but like
Again, can you explain yield?
Oh God.
I forget. Just like a quick like one-liner. Why do you not like
Percentage of stuff coming out based on what you put in.
like?
Yeah.
Just because
version.
some of it's bad, it just comes out like broken. So they're just like, this wafer's broken, bro.
Or different
Yeah,
levels
so-
of quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Computer
don't-
chips small, hard to make. We
I
mess
don't-
up times.
Yeah.
Sometimes bad. That's
Okay.
The answer is
That's what I needed. That's what I needed. Okay, thank you.
the answer is I don't know. Normally, when we talk about yield, I understood it fairly well from the old like what's the yield on a wafer, because you figure you make a wafer, there are defects on the wafer, so you imagine you're patterning this thing and you've got defects. Some of the defects are maybe could be some kind of impurity or something went wrong, or maybe when you're patterning the light just hit something, or there was one little speck of dust in there or whatever. So you have certain things that didn't quite work as well as they should on this wafer. And so some number of the things that you put on the wafer are just going to fail. And so normally when you talk about yield, you talk about like, all right, if there's n number of defects on a wafer, we expect those to fall fairly randomly. Sometimes they're distributed differently, like more towards the outside than the center because of the way the reticles work, or all these other sorts of things. Who knows? But so you only get a certain number of those chips, right? So only a certain number of them will work, or a certain number of them will perform better than others for certain reasons, all those sorts of things. And all that goes into what you call your yield, right? And binning. So binning is, right, the process where you say, like, some of these chips work better than others for whatever reasons, run at higher clock rates, things like that. Others are like, they literally don't work. There's a defect on them, we can't get it working at all. And yet others are designed to, like, have certain things constructively turned off. Think GPU, where it's like, okay, there's this many processing units on the GPU, and they're designed to have some of those fail and be turned off, right? So it's like, okay, this just has less cores now, and it gets slotted as a different thing, blah, blah, blah. That's the normal way that, like, I have heard yield talked about. For this, apparently when you have to, like, grind down the silicon and, like, stack it on top of each other and all that, and I guess there's a separate yield loss that happens. It has nothing to do with whether the original chips were working or not, maybe. But then there's also the fact that I got the sense when I tried to look at this stuff, because I knew we were doing this podcast, so I was like, let me go see, like, what are they talking about with some of these memory things? And I wasn't really able to understand it, because I wasn't sure if what they were talking about was yield loss from, we stack these wafers on top of each other and that process produces problems, or if what they were talking about is we can't test the memory prior to the stacking for some reason. Let's say, I'm making that up, I don't know. And so when we
problem.
stack 8 things on top of each other, we just multiplied our total failure rate by 8, because if one of them's bad, they're all bad, right? Because the vias won't work, or who knows what. So I don't know which of those they're talking about, but what I've seen put out for numbers is when you're making one of these HBM modules, your yield rate is awful compared to normal. They said 3 times as much wafer space is required for the same amount of HBM memory as for regular DDR5 or something like that. So the same number of bits stored, if you're storing them in HBM, you required 3 times the input wafer size and patterning to get that out. And that's a huge yield, like that's massive, right? I mean, just think about that number. It means you're doing all the same work, but you end up with 3 times more chips for DDR5 if you were producing DDR5 as if you did HBM. Make sense?
Okay.
That does make sense.
So that sucks, right? That is really, really bad, and it means that the price of those things has to be much higher because you're doing a ton more work for each one. You're doing 3 times more work to get the same amount of bit storage. So if you want a gigabyte of HBM versus a gigabyte of just the random GDR or DDR that we're sticking in the computer, it's right.
Sorry.
Last
HBM
thing,
and just AM. Okay.
just to finish this ridiculous tangent on how it works. So the thing about HBM is what I tried to get to at the beginning before we went into that yield thing is it doesn't go outside the chip. It's not connected to the chip in this sort of way that we think of, like with GDDR that's like on the PCB or DRAM which is slotted in. It's on the package. So the way that it works is you literally, you think about, I don't know if you guys have ever seen like die shots of something like a modern AMD processor where there's chiplets. There's like little chiplets in there. So it's like you delid the processor. There's like two, CPU dies and something on there, right? That's how HBM works. It's on the package. So the CPU and the memory are all together in one module. They're not things you plug in or put on a PCB. Does that make sense?
Is this
Yeah.
like this could be way off, but some of the stuff with like Mac Minis and some of the new Mac stuff where they have like the unified memory, which is why a bunch of people are using them for running local LLM stuff because they have this higher bandwidth connection to CPU that actually lets you run like local models at reasonable speeds. Is this related at all? I don't know. I'm just asking.
I am not sure. I want to say that there may be. I thought there was I'm not sure. I don't want to say because I'm not sure about that. I know that there are some like A series chips I think that use on chip memory, which is very different and super duper fast, way faster than even HBM. But that's a different thing, which we could go into later. But it's not relevant to a DRAM shortage at all. Yeah.
Yeah, they're expanding cache in a lot of ways, but like you said, that's not really related.
Yeah, it's a different type of. It's a completely different. It's SRAM. It's not even the same kind of.
Yeah.
Can I ask a dumb question?
Yes, please.
I have been asking dumb questions the entire time because this stuff, like I said, not my monkeys, not my zoo. And you look into it and you're like, Jesus Christ! Like it's just like this huge morass of stuff where you're like, oh God, okay.
So, me, the consumer, I don't just want a wafer. I want it like nicely packaged and then have like little LEDs on top of it, and then I want NZXT or someone.
You do
or
not want
Starforge
LEDs.
thrown.
You're not an LED. Come on,
dude. I have LEDs right now, baby, with my little rams.
Oh no!
Just like the whole 9 yards, right? And that's me as a consumer. So, why in the world, as a producer, would I ever sell to consumers ever for any reason if Samuel Jippity Altman is just like, give me the circles? I don't even want you to put LEDs on them. I just want the circles.
That's the short. You just described the shortage, bro. Yes.
Yeah, that's what's happening, right? You nailed it, Prime.
Good job.
Done.
Episode's over. We can all go home.